In this video हम बात करने वाले हैं place of supply. Now, when we talk about place of supply, the main thing which you should understand is place of supply means the government will tell us where the goods or services are consumed, and the entire power to decide about consumption is with the parliament. That's why entire provision of place of supply is given in IGST Act 2017. We have section 7, 8, 9 goes up to 14, all telling us different aspects of place of supply. Now, when we talk about section 7 of IGST Act deals with interstate supply. Now, what is interstate supply? Two things. One, location of supplier and place of supply. Location of supplier and place of supply is in two different states, two different union territories, or one state, one union territory. Then we call it as interstate supply. There are three transactions which will always be regarded as interstate supply. One, export. Second, supply to or by a SEZ unit or developer. And the third one is any transaction which is not an intrastate supply. Then the question arises, what is intrastate supply? Intrastate supply is where the location of supplier, place of supply is in the same state, same union territory. Then we call it as intrastate supply. When we talk about section 9, section 7 deals with inter, section 8 deals with intra, section 9 of IGST Act, in case a service is consumed in territorial waters, what would be the place of supply? Where do we consider the location of supplier? That is defined in section 9. So whenever the location of the supplier or place of supply is in waters, it will be treated as to the nearest coastal state. So whichever is the nearest coastal state, that would be regarded as the location of supplier or place of supply. Now say suppose in Kerala, waters near Kerala, there was a ship which suffered certain breakage. When it suffered a slight breakage, there was repair activity done. अब ये repair activity कहाँ किया? Waters में. The question is, where is the consumption? Is it in waters? No. It would be to the nearest coastal state. And what is the nearest coastal state? I said you it was near Kerala. So obviously the place of supply would be Kerala. Clear with this? समझ में आया? Yes. Now, so 7, 8, 9. The question is, how do we determine place of supply? Place of supply is given in 10, 11, 12, 13, and to a certain extent OIDAR is defined in section 14. So 10, 11, 12, 13, these help us to determine the place of supply. Bhulna mat. How do you decide what type of tax will be applicable? Checking two things. Location of supplier, place of supply. ये place of supply कैसे मिलेगा? Place of supply is defined in 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, when you talk about 10, section 10 of IGST Act deals with place of supply for goods, domestic transactions. 11, goods, international transactions. 12, goods, services, where the supplier and the recipient is within the same country. We deal place of supply based on section 12, and section 13 is again services where one of them or both of them are outside India. Be very careful when we are thinking about 12 and 13. See, 10 and 11 deal with goods. 10 deals with goods domestic transaction and 11 deals with goods international transaction. 12 is for services where supplier and recipient are in India. Very careful. Both supplier and recipient are in India, then you determine the place of supply as per section 12. 13 is used again for services where supplier or recipient are outside India. So if one of them is outside India, in that case, you determine the place of supply based on section 13. And OIDR, there are some provisions given in section 14. So this is our entire structure. Very important thing where students go wrong. When you decide the rule, you have to check supplier and recipient. Supplier and recipient. But when you decide the interstate or intrastate, you check two things: location of supplier and place of supply. And where do you get place of supply? You get the place of supply from these provisions. Clear with this? Yes. Now whatever we have discussed, I'll show you a small diagram of that. See this. Section 7. Intrastate supply, we spoke about. Interstate supply, we spoke about. Location of supplier and place of supply. Correct? Two different states, one state, one union territory. Three transactions always regarded as interstate. Which are those three transactions? 1. Export, supply to or by a SEZ unit or developer, because it's always treated as a IGST transaction. This is called a zero rated supply when supply is made to a SEZ. And by a SEZ, government has regarded it as a IGST transaction, because when you talk about exports from SEZ, again they will be regarded as IGST transaction. Plus SEZs are regarded as outside India. So whenever SEZ sends any goods to domestic tariff area, you will be regarding it as import, and that's why that supply will also be regarded as IGST. Okay. And third one is any transaction which is not a intrastate supply. If it's not an intrastate supply, we'll regard it as interstate. Like import of service. Import of service, it will be regarded as a interstate supply. IGST would be applicable. Done with 7. 8 is intra. 9 territorial waters. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10 goods domestic transactions. Goods international transactions given in 11. 12 when these two are in India, both are in India, and this when one of them is outside India. It also means that if both are outside India, supplier and recipient both are outside India, still you can apply section 13. Sir, but if both are outside India, can the place of supply still be in India? Yes, it is possible. It is possible because consumption might be by a person who is in India. That's a possibility. Now let's try to recollect each of these provisions. We will start with 13. Enter into 12. Enter into 11 and then move to 10. This is the order which we are going to follow. First we will complete 13. 13 and 12 are very critical. Once you understand 13 and 12, 11 and 10 will become complementary. Now, let's start with section 13. Let's see how section 13 would look. Now, when you take a transaction of 13, you have to be very careful. One of them or both are outside India. Supplier or recipient is outside India. Only in such cases will you apply section 13. The moment you read a question, what is the first task which you will do? Identify whether it is goods or services. Then you will try to find out whether supplier and recipient both are in India or one of them is outside India. Based on that, you choose the place of supply. Once you decide the place of supply, check with the location of supplier. The moment you check it with the location of supplier, you will be able to identify whether it's a transaction of IGST or C+S/C+UT. So follow these steps. Whenever you read the question, first identify goods or services. Once you have identified whether it is goods or services, apply the place of supply. Once you find the place of supply, compare it with location of supplier, and then you find out whether it would be IGST or C+S/C+UT. Clear with this concept? Yes. Now, when you talk about section 13, see 13.2, says what would be the place of supply generally. That means if you cannot apply any of the other provisions, it would be as per 13.2. Now what does 13.2 say? 13.2 says the place of supply generally would be location of the recipient. समझ में आया? So it would be location of the recipient. If the place of supply is location of the recipient, then in such cases you will compare location of supplier and location of recipient. Based on that, you will determine whether I or C plus S. The target is to determine I लगेगा या C plus S लगेगा. ये दो चीज का ध्यान रखना है. yes, ठीक है. तो 13.2 का बात हो गया. Now, when you talk about a case where recipient's address is not taken in the ordinary course of business, like bank में मैं demand draft बनाने गया, in such cases they don't take the address because I am not a bank account holder in that bank. In such cases, what would be the place of supply? Government has the answer for that as well. If recipient's address is not taken in the ordinary course of business, then it would be location of the supplier. And remember one thing always, agar place of supply is location of the supplier, automatically it would be a case of C plus S. Kaise? What two things do you compare? Location of supplier, place of supply. If place of supply is location of supplier, तो दोनों एक ही जगह हुए ना, you will automatically charge CGST plus SGST or C plus UP. Okay. Then talking about 13.3. Remember, 13.3 to 13.12 are specific. Specific will be overriding general, because 13.2 clearly says that come to 13.2 only when it does not fall under any of the other categories. If it does not fall in any of the other categories, then only you can use 13.2. So we need to know all those, and only if it does not fall, in that case we will use 13.2. Okay, let's see what is 13.3. 13.3 is performance based services. Now when we say performance based services where you have to give a particular product to your supplier and he will work upon it. जैसे कि repair service. I gave my vehicle to the person who would do the repair activity and thereafter he gives it back to me. Or beauty treatment service or hair dressing. In such cases, individual presence is required. So two things are covered in performance based service. It could be performance based service on such goods, or it could be performance based service for such individual. The place of supply in both the cases will be where the service is performed. जहां repair activity किया, that would be the place of supply. Wherever the makeup was done, that would be the place of supply. Wherever a particular product was corrected for any treatment or process, where that thing was done, that would be the place of supply. Now, what if the transaction of performance is done through electronic means? If it is done through electronic means, and this is applicable only for goods, electronic means, in such cases the place of supply will be location of such goods. I'll give you a simple example for this. Say suppose there is a tech guy in US. He is providing service to Microsoft US. Techie is in US, Microsoft US. They are providing a service to a laptop repair in India through online softwares. If that is being done, in such case, place of supply कहाँ आएगा? Place of supply आएगा location of such goods. Goods were in Bangalore. As the goods were in Bangalore, place of supply will become India. तो क्या सर ये transaction taxable हो जाएगा? The answer is no. The answer is no. The law very clearly provides an exemption where no supplier and recipient both are outside India. But that is given in exemption chapter. Where is the place of supply for this transaction? The place of supply for this transaction would be India. Clear? Now, so for such goods of electronic means, the place of supply would be location of such goods. Okay. Now, this was about 13.3. Remember one more very important fact of 13.3. And what is that important fact? Say suppose an aircraft from outside India has come for repair in India, and thereafter once it is repaired, it is taken back outside India. That means it is not used in India. Now if it is not used in India, in such cases, should GST be applicable? Because if repair is done in India and you say place of supply is in India, then you will have to charge GST. The government has provided a relief in 13.3 saying that if a product is imported into India, a treatment process is applied on this product and then it is re-exported, in such cases 13.3 will not apply. Hey, remember, when 13.3 is not applicable, the place of supply will automatically be determined based on 13.2. And if it is determined based on 13.2, the place of supply will be location of the recipient. And if it is a location of the recipient, then it would be to the person outside India. GST would not be applicable. So this is a relief where a product comes to India, process applied, and without being used in India, it is sent outside India. Clear? समझ में आया? Yes. Then moving to 13.4. Now what does 13.4 deal with? 13.4 deals with immovable property. For any immovable property, what would be the place of supply? In case of an immovable property, place of supply will be where the immovable property is located or intended to be located. If it is intended to be located in India, place of supply will be in India. If it is intended to be located outside India, then the place of supply will be outside India. Clear? Okay. Now, when we talk about 13.5, 13.5 deals with events. When we say 13.5 deals with events, see, it covers both the things. It covers admission related service, admission meaning entry fee, or organization related service. Both these services are covered. What would be the place of supply? Place of supply will be where the event is held. If the event is held in India, place of supply will be in India. If the event is held outside India, place of supply will be outside India. Yes? Okay. 13.6 talks about transactions where the transaction involves more than one territory. That means it has India. The service is also to be provided in Sri Lanka. The service is also to be provided in Bangladesh. So a particular service where consumption is at three places: India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. In such cases, where will the place of supply will be? 13.6 says place of supply will be location in taxable territory. And when we say location in taxable territory, that means for the entire contract, the place of supply will be regarded as India. So what generally people do is they enter into different contracts, one for India, one for outside India, depending on the country. A simple example, and remember 13.6 covers these three. That means these three, when it has a place in India consumption and consumption outside India, then it would be regarded as consumption in India. For instance, say suppose a contract is given by a US person to test bikes in Indian market, Sri Lankan market and Bangladesh market. So testing of bike, this is the service which is provided. India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Be it any percentage, the law says if a single contract is entered for this entire thing, place of supply will be in India. So generally, what we do is we break the contract and enter into separate contracts to avoid 13.6. Then we have 13.7. 13.7 prescribes the method of dividing revenue between states. Like, say suppose the consumption is in Karnataka, the consumption is in Maharashtra, the consumption is in Kerala. So, it provides us help as to how do you divide the revenue in such cases. That's the use of 13.7. Coming to 13.8. And rules are prescribed for this 13.7, which I will deal in the later part of the video. 13.8. When we talk about 13.8, there are three services for which the place of supply will be location of the supplier. Very interesting. Place of supply is location of the supplier. Don't forget, the moment place of supply is location of supplier, that means automatically in case of 13.8, we will have CGST plus SGST or CGST plus UPGST. Now, which are those three services? First one, banking. To account holders, be very careful. Not banking to everyone. Banking services provided to account holders. Sir, if it is non-account holders, then it will go to 13.2. Remember one thing, if it is not falling in any of these specific categories, it automatically shifts to 13.2, where you use location of recipient. Sir, if location of recipient is not available, then if that is not taken in the ordinary course of business, then it would be location of the supplier. Yes, the first one is banking services provided to account holder. Second one is intermediary services. Intermediary agent related services, and remember, intermediary of goods, services and securities. An agent of goods, services and securities, and does not include a person who is selling on his own account. If he is selling on his own account, then it's not an intermediary in 13.8. So intermediary of goods, services, securities. Sir, bacha kya? Immobile property intermediary falls under 13.4. Immobile property intermediary, real estate agent falls under 13.4. Clear? Yes. And then the third one is hiring. Hiring of a means of transport. Hiring of a means of transport. Doesn't matter whether it is for goods or for passenger transport vehicle. Doesn't matter. The law is very clear. Hiring of a means of transport up to a period of 1 month other than aircraft or vessel. Other than aircraft or vessel, but including yacht. Yacht is included, but other than aircraft or vessel. And remember one thing very carefully, up to a period of 1 month. That means long-term lease, long-term hiring will be falling under 13.2. We will use location of recipient in such cases. सर क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा. अगर 13.2 यूज होगा तो say suppose recipient is outside India. If recipient is outside India, location of recipient outside India, GST would not be applicable. But if it is covered by 13.8, that is up to 1 month, in such cases it would be location of supplier. Automatically GST would be applicable if the supplier is in India. Are clear with this? Yes. Then we move on to 13.9. 13.9 deals with transportation of goods. Now when we talk about transportation of goods, the law clearly says that in case of transportation of goods, the place of supply will be destination of the goods. Destination of the goods. If the goods are going outside India, then the place of supply will be outside India. Are you clear with this? Yes. Okay. Remember one thing about 13.9, it says other than mail or courier. If it is through mail or courier, then what would be applicable? 13.2. Clearly the law provides for transportation of goods other than mail or courier. Okay. Then moving on to 13.10. 13.10 deals with transportation of passengers. In case of transportation of passengers, the place of supply is where the person embarks for a continuous journey. Both important words. where the person embarks for a continuous journey. Embarks meaning he starts his journey for a continuous journey. What is the meaning of continuous journey? Continuous journey is a case where I am in the same seat, I am in the same flight, I don't change my flight. In case there is a connecting flight, meaning I go from Bangalore to Delhi, I change a flight there, then I take another flight from Delhi to Jammu and Kashmir. In such case, it's not a continuous journey because there was a stopover. And what is stopover? Wherever I change my flight. In such cases, it would be regarded as continuous journey. Hey, clear with this? Yes. So a person embarks for a continuous journey. And whenever you recall 1310, now don't forget one point. Any flight starting or terminating in northeastern states, including Bagdogra in West Bengal, in such cases, it is exempt. I agree it is exempt, but if the question is asking you to determine place of supply, first determine the place of supply, then say that GST would not be applicable as there is an exemption covering this particular point. Clear? Yes. Then we have on-board services. On-board services. Whenever we talk about on-board services, we are talking about chargeable services. Why do I say chargeable services? Something given free of cost. There is no GST applicable. Supply, consideration in the course of business. So when we talk about on-board services, the place of supply will be first scheduled departure point. First scheduled departure point. And what is the first scheduled departure point? The first place from where that particular flight started. So if the flight was from Bangalore, Delhi and then Mumbai, or Bangalore, Delhi and then Kolkata. Bangalore, Delhi, Kolkata. When I take this particular series, you have to understand one thing. A person who is embarking in Delhi or a person who is stepping in Delhi, in such cases also, if he takes a on-board service, it will always be first scheduled departure point. And what was the first scheduled departure point? वो था Bangalore और place of supply होगा Bangalore. Clear with this? Yes. Then when we talk about 1312, what is 1312? 1312 deals with OIDAR. Online Information Database Access Retrieval Services. Online Information Database Access Retrieval Services. Facebook advertisement, Google advertisement, LinkedIn charging you a fee, YouTube fee, or Google charging you for any other services. In all such cases where you require minimal human intervention, and it is an automatic service, meaning there is no human intervention or minimal human intervention, and it is provided over internet. Everything which is provided over internet is not OIDR. It should be provided over internet with minimal human intervention. Online games, yes, covered under OIDR. Google advertising, yes, covered. Cloud-based storage services is also part of OIDR service. In such cases, place of supply will be location of the recipient. Now here you will get a question. Sir, why is this given separately? Anyways, the general rule anyways says location of recipient. Then why is it given separately? What is the purpose behind adding this particular point? Even if 1312 was not there, we would have used 13.2, that is location of recipient. Then why is it given? Remember, 13.2 has a condition. If location of recipient is not taken in the ordinary course of business, then you will use location of supplier. And in OIDR service, it was very well possible for every service provider to contend that I don't take the location of the recipient in my ordinary course of business, so I will use location of supplier. So जितने भी OIDR के service providers outside India थे ना, they would have got an advantage. And that's why government has clearly mentioned that in OIDR service, you cannot not take location of recipient. Wonderful. You cannot not take location of recipient because the place of supply itself is location of recipient. Very smartly played by government. Hey, did you understand this? Yes. Now, OIDR service, what happens? OIDR service has to be read with section 14. Why is it required to be read with section 14? Because OIDR service, if there is a transaction which is B2B, business to business, that is registered person transaction. In such cases, the registered person in India would pay the tax. This is under RCM. That means the recipient in India will be required to pay the tax. But if it's a transaction of B2C, we call this as non-SSC online recipient. And who gets covered in non-SSC online recipient? A person who is using it as an individual or any other person for other than business or profession. For other than business or profession. He is a non-SSC online recipient. Government is also covered in non-SSC online recipient. Local authority is also covered in non-SSC online recipient. So whenever it is provided to non-SSC online recipient, it is under forward charge. And when I say it is under forward charge, that means the person outside India providing the service has to take registration in India and pay the taxes. And that's why there is a separate form for OIDAR. You file a separate GSTR 5A for OIDAR. Reason? Because it applies only in case they provide services to non-SSC online recipient. So if they provide it to other registered persons or business persons for business purpose, then it is covered under RCM. Then there is no need for the supplier outside India to take registration in India and pay taxes. Okay, clear with this? Yes, very important for MCQs. And finally, 1313. When we talk about 1313, this gives special power to government in case there is some non-taxability. Some transactions where taxation is not being applied though it is consumed in India, or taxation is being applied resulting into double taxation. In such cases, government can specify the place of supply. So this gives a power to government to specify place of supply for certain transactions. Nothing was there about 2 years back in this, and thereafter at present there are 2 entries notified in 1313. Which are those 2 entries? One is to help pharma industry, research and development with regard to pharma industry. If the supplier is in US, recipient is in Mumbai, supplier US, recipient is in Mumbai. In such cases, what used to happen is some testing used to be done in India. When the person is sending these goods, in such cases, the place of supply was a big challenge. The law has now clearly said the place of supply for research and development done by pharma sector would be location of recipient. Now, in such cases, if R&D service is taken by a person in India, place of supply will be in India. That means Mumbai person would pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Now think from other angle, where the supplier of this testing service is in India and he provides the service to a person in US, that is research and development. In such cases, this was a performance-based service. Performance-based service where the service is performed. Service was being performed in Mumbai. So technically the place of supply would have been in India. But what has government said? Government has said that for research and development, pharma sector related, the place of supply will be location of the recipient. And when they say place of supply will be location of recipient, 2 things. One, if the research is happening outside India, for a person in India, then he has to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. But if an Indian person is doing research for a outside India entity, then place of supply will be outside India. And if the place of supply is outside India, no GST would be applicable. It will be regarded as an export of service. And the second thing which is notified is MRO, maintenance, repair, overhaul in case of aircraft. Maintenance, repair, overhaul in case of aircraft. This is to encourage maintenance, repair and overhaul services being set up in India, where say suppose some Sri Lankan aircraft comes in India and some repair is done. In such cases, place of supply will again be location of the recipient. See, both of these points were notified in the law because of this 13.3. For 13.3, now place of supply is where the service is performed. If these two were not notified as location of recipient, what would happen? They would have suffered tax in India, and if they suffered tax in India, when you are providing the service to a person outside India, it becomes a cost to the person outside India because he will not get input tax credit. That's why government gave the benefit to these particular sectors. Clear? Yes. So this is the entire picture of section 13. Now let's have a look at 13.12. When do you apply 12? See, when we talk about 12, you need to be very clear about one aspect at the beginning. And what is that aspect? Section 12, when is it applied? Section 12 is applied when supplier and recipient are in India. When both are in India, then the place of supply is determined as per section 12. Here, tell me, both are in India. First, government would want to collect taxes here. Second, government would normally intend to give input tax credit to the recipient if he is a registered person. ये दो टारगेट है क्या? एक, whenever we talk about both being in India, पहले तो tax लगना चाहिए. Second, whenever you talk about this particular transaction, there should be one important aspect. And what is that important aspect? Whenever it is provided to a registered person, we should give input tax credit. Let's see what it says. 12.2. 12.1 just gives the name. 12.2. So when we talk about 12.2, the first thing which we should understand is whether it is provided to a registered person or it is provided to a unregistered person. If it is provided to a registered person, in such cases, the place of supply will be location of the registered person. If it is provided to an unregistered person, in that case, the place of supply will be location of recipient. Sir, if location of recipient is not available, same thing, then use the location of the supplier. Sir, how do we find location of supplier and location of recipient? Simple. If he is registered, then that registered place. If he is unregistered, then fixed establishment, that is where he has a complete setup. Otherwise, if the service is relatable to more than one place, then in such case, it would be based on the main place from where the contract is entered. Sir, if nothing is available, usual place of residence. That's the definition of location of supplier. Similar goes the definition of location of recipient. Then when we talk about 12.3, immovable property, place of supply will be location of immovable property. Place of supply will be location of immovable property. But here there is a twist. First, it covers immovable property, vessel, boat, all such services. And whenever we talk about 12.3, remember one thing. If immovable property is outside India, then the place of supply will be location of recipient. Very smartly drafted law. See, first it says immovable property, place of supply will be location of immovable property. But if the immovable property is outside India, dono India mein hai na, we want taxes. The government says, I will then use location of the recipient. Very smart. When we talk about 12.4, it covers outdoor catering and certain performance-based services of similar nature. It could be hair dressing or beauty treatment, makeup. 12.4. The place of supply will be where the service is performed. 12.5 talks about training. See, training, government intends to give ITC. So what has government done in training? Training they have broken into two parts. If it is provided to a registered person, then location of such registered person. If it is provided to unregistered person, then where the service is performed. Because government wishes to give ITC in case of registered persons. See, if this is not done, what will happen? It is very well possible that a Mumbai firm is taking training services in Karnataka from a Karnataka firm. So, Karnataka firm is providing training in Karnataka to a Mumbai firm. In such cases, if the place of supply is in Karnataka, then Karnataka firm will charge C plus S. In such cases, Maharashtra will not get ITC. So what has government said? If it is provided to a registered person, then the place of supply will be location of the registered person. So that now the place of supply becomes Maharashtra, Karnataka person will charge ITSP. Very clear? Yes. Then when we talk about 12.6, 12.6 talks about admission to an event. Now when we say admission to an event, the place of supply will be where the event is held. But if the event is held outside India, then the place of supply will be location of the recipient. Same thing. When we talk about 12.7, organization. Now when we talk about organization of an event, again this has two parts, registered person, unregistered person. Registered person, location of the registered person, and when we talk about unregistered person, where the event is held. And if event is held outside India, then the place of supply will be where the location of the registered person. So it's actually used in 12.7. Yes? Okay. Then when we talk about 12.8, see, 12.8 basically deals with cases of transportation of goods. Now again, transportation of goods, again government has divided it into two parts. One, registered person, unregistered person. If it is provided to registered person, no problem, and this covers courier and mail. If it is provided to a registered person, location of the registered person. If it is provided to an unregistered person, where the goods are handed over for further transportation. Handed over for further transportation. Don't forget this word, handed over for further transportation. You will remember handed over. What you will forget in the exam, handed over to the recipient, sir. Handed over for further transporter. That means the place where the person who is the consigner, the person who is sending the goods, wherever he gives the goods, that becomes the place of supply, because that is the effective place of consumption in case of transportation of goods. And there is one important clause here. If the thing is outside India, if the goods are going outside India, transportation to a place outside India, in such cases, the place of supply will be destination of the goods. The place of supply will be destination of the goods. This is a special relief. The moment place of supply becomes destination, that is outside India, it will be place of supply being outside India. If you get foreign exchange, then it will be regarded as an export transaction. Okay. Moving on to 12.9. What does 12.9 deal with? 12.9 deals with transportation of passengers. Again, government divides it into two parts because government intends to give ITC to the registered persons. So, registered person, what would be the place of supply? Location of such registered person. And what about unregistered person? Sir, for unregistered person, it would be where the person embarks for a continuous journey. Clear with this? Yes. 12.10 is simple. 12.10 deals with on-board services. See, for on-board services, what would be the place of supply? So, for on-board services, the place of supply will be first scheduled departure point. Remember very carefully, it does not have registered, unregistered. That means here The government does not intend to give credit in all cases, and that's why they have kept the consumption as first scheduled departure point. Then when we talk about 1211, 1211 deals with telecommunication services. In case of telecommunication services, there are various points. Say suppose there is a postpaid connection. In that case, billing address. Say suppose there is a device installed at one place. In such cases, the place where the device is installed. Sir, if it is in multiple states, there are IGST rules for that. We will discuss it in some time. In case it's a prepaid connection, if you recharge through a selling agent, then the place of the selling agent. If you recharge from a store, Vodafone or an Airtel store, then the place of that Vodafone or Airtel store. If you recharge online, in that case, location of recipient which is available, that is not available, then location of the supplier. That's about 1211. 1212. That deals with banking. Banking services. What is the place of supply? In case of banking services, you have to just check two things. One, whether he is address available on record, address not available. If address is available on record, then the place of supply will be such address. If address is not available on record, location of the supplier. Yes. Don't check RP, URP. It's address or no address. And 1213. When we say 1213, it deals with insurance. Insurance, again the law divides it into registered, unregistered. For registered, location of the registered person. For unregistered, it would be address on record. Because in insurance, you don't give any policy without taking the address of the other person. So that's why if it is unregistered person, provided to unregistered person, then it would be address on record. And finally, 1214 talks about advertisement service provided to government. Advertisement service provided to government. They give various aspects. See, this is easy. Why am I saying easy? Say suppose advertisement is given on radio. Depends on the number of radio stations in each state. If it is given in newspaper, number of publications or the number of copies which were published in each state. If you give based on the train, then length of the tracks. That's the system which is there. So for each of the type of advertisement, law has clearly provided various methods. Why is it easy? Because in the question, that particular proportion will be given to you. You just have to apply that proportion and then divide it in a mathematical ratio, nothing more than that, and the consumption will be based on that particular system which is provided or will be provided in the question. Clear with this? Yes. So this is the use of section 12. Section 13, when both or one of them is outside India. Section 12, when both are in India. So these are the aspects which we have discussed. Now, to this you have IGST rules. What do the IGST rules say? Say suppose accommodation is provided in more than one territory. Usme kya hoga? Accommodation provided in more than one state or union territory. Then the law says divide it based on number of nights spent in each state. Say suppose it is based on square feet area, like renting of a premise in Karnataka, renting of a premise in Maharashtra for a single price. In such cases, government says that divided based on number of square feet. If this is also not available, say suppose there is a case where vessel or boat, houseboat which is there near Kerala, some time is spent in Kerala, some time is spent in Karnataka waters. In such case, what would be the place of supply? It says based on the number of hours spent in Kerala and Karnataka as reported by service provider or supplier of service. If supplier of service says 22 hours spent in Kerala, 2 hours spent in Karnataka, then the ratio will be 22:2. This is when the consumption is in more than one state, and it's a case of accommodation or immovable property in general. When we talk about events, if event is held at 3 different states and a single prize is charged, how will you divide it? Law says generally accepted accounting principles. That means it would be given in the question and in the same ratio you will divide it and find the place of supply. What about fixed line connection, that is telephone or fixed circuit connection, where one bill is given for all the telephone lines throughout India of that particular company? In such cases, number of fixed points or fixed lines in each state, based on that place of supply will be determined. And say suppose makeup of a particular person is done in Delhi, is done in Mumbai, is done in Karnataka, the law says generally accepted accounting principles. But if it is goods which are to be tested, if same goods is tested, then proportionate or equally. If different goods are tested, then depending on the value of goods tested in Karnataka versus the value of goods tested in Maharashtra. This is provided in the rules. So this was IGST rules 2017, which provide for 4 particular categories. One, immobile property. It also provides for fixed line circuits, events, and finally performance based service, that is goods or individuals. For goods, same goods or different goods, and for individuals it is based on generally accepted accounting principles, which would be given in your question. Now we move on to the last segment, 11 and 10, which is much more simpler. 11, goods international transaction. When we say goods international transaction, tell me one thing people, goods international transactions, normally what will apply? IGST. So in such cases the law is very clear on this. Whenever you talk about goods international transaction, if it's a case of export, the place of supply is outside India. If it's a case of import, then location of the importer. If it's export, place of supply will be outside India. If it is import, then place of supply will be location of importer. And where is the importer? Importer is in India. Okay, clear? Yes. And then we have section 10. Now when we say section 10, that means it's dealing with goods transaction, domestic. Goods transaction, domestic. Now, goods transaction, domestic, if supply involves movement. If supply involves movement, then in such cases, the place of supply will be where the movement of goods terminates for delivery. Terminates for delivery का मतलब, जैसे गुड्स जा रहा है बैंगलोर टू दिल्ली, तो टर्मिनेट कहाँ हो रहा है? टर्मिनेट हो रहा है दिल्ली में. प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई विल बी इन दिल्ली. Yes. Remember one thing, movement could be done by the supplier, recipient, or any other third person, doesn't matter. So the first case is supply involves movement. The second case is when there is a bill to ship to transaction. What do you mean by bill to ship to? Bill to matlab billing to one person but shipping to some other person. In that case, what would be the place of supply? The law says it would be the place of that person who has ordered such goods or based on whose direction goods are moving. That means we will consider bill to. Whomever we are billing, based on that we will charge IGST or C plus S. That would be the place of supply. Yes? Okay. If supply does not involve movement, what do you mean by does not involve movement? Does not involve movement meaning the goods are already with him, or you are selling some goods at a particular place and it will remain in that place. Recipient is going to occupy that place and he is taking the goods at that place also. In such cases, the place of supply will be location of such goods. Location of such goods. Wherever such goods are located, that would be the place of supply. What about a case where some goods are assembled or installed? Any goods which are assembled or installed, in such cases where goods were installed or assembled. Where the goods were assembled or installed, that place would be regarded as the place of supply. And the last case in this is when goods are supplied on board of a conveyance. Goods supplied on board of a conveyance. Then in such cases, the place of supply will be where the goods were loaded on the conveyance. Wherever the goods were loaded on a conveyance, that would be regarded as the place of supply. Are you clear with this? Yes. Yes. Now this is what we have discussed. Section 13, 12, and then we came across 10 and 11. Clear? These are the 4 things which we came across. This is your 13, this is 12, this is 11 and 10. Yes, listen to it, you will be able to recall and you will be able to store all these things. These wordings will help you to recall and remember it one day before the examination and even now when you are reading. See you in the next video.